I bring you greetings from Canada this morning. I'm very happy to be with you, dear folks, here. And I do appreciate the atmosphere here, the spiritual atmosphere that I've enjoyed while this far. And as our sister taught the Sunday school lesson this morning, she just seemed to be such an inspiration and got so much out of it. I just feel very small to get up here after hearing her. I just feel that she should perhaps be up here instead of me. But by the grace of God, I'll just do what the Lord wants me to do. Sometimes we have to be willing to be a failure, for the Lord. And I thought when Jesus was here on this earth, one day he said to his disciples, I go to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. Ever since Jesus uttered those words, mankind has looked forward to the time when Jesus will come again. It was a long way off back there, but I'm glad this morning that we're very near the coming of the Lord, and that thing is about to be realized, perhaps for the people that, most of you perhaps that are here this morning, will still be here when the Lord comes. Before I begin my message, I want to read a few verses found 2nd chapter of Corinthians, the 12th verse. Many people they want me to explain things. There's things about this vision I don't understand. We never will understand all the things of God. And this little passage here just seemed to help me somehow. Said, it is not expedient for me doubtless to glory. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord. I knew a man in Christ about 14 years ago, whether in the body, I cannot tell, or whether out of the body, I cannot tell, such an one caught up to the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I cannot tell, God knows, how that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for man to utter. Of such a one will I glory, yet in myself I will not glory, but in mine infirmities. For though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool. For I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that which he heareth of me. May the Lord bless the reading of his word. My message this morning takes us back to the 8th of May, 1948. That was Saturday. I was living a very busy life. I had Saturday planned very full. Went to bed Friday night feeling in the best of health. But our plans aren't always carried out. We plan sometimes, but the Lord has something different. That is, especially if we're in the will of God and want him to plan our ways for us. Saturday morning, early, wee hours of the morning, while I was sleeping, unconscious of my surroundings, there was an awful, incurable disease gripped my body. I woke to find myself very, very sick. Well, I didn't think much about it. I'd never been sick from that kind of thing. I thought, I'll soon throw this off. I'll soon be better. But by Monday night, I found the thing had gripped me. I couldn't seem to throw it off any. I saw the doctor, our family physician, that evening. He said, I don't quite understand it. You remain in bed a week, and we'll see what we can do. But he visited me then, kept visiting, and in a few days he said, we'd better have a specialist. And the specialist came, and it just seemed, he said, yes, I understand it, and I can help you. But continued treatment showed that it didn't seem to help at all. And we began to realize that unless that we had help from somewhere else, that I wouldn't be getting better. And I want to tell you how much the saints prayed, how they held on to God in prayer. And it's just wonderful when you're helpless and can't even pray. You're too sick to pray. And then when others get the burden and pray through for you. How the saints, they used to meet in the home there. They wasn't able to come, I wasn't able to have them in my room, but they'd come to our home, and they'd have prayer at church, and even people over here, hundreds of miles away, heard of it and became interested and prayed. Some prayed through. I know a brother over in Detroit prayed through and wrote back. He said, she's going to be healed, but I still kept getting worse. And then during this time I couldn't pray, and I didn't have any feeling. It just seemed my soul wasn't blessed, and I felt so empty. Did you ever feel like that? And one day I said to the Lord, why is it when other people are sick and have trouble, they seem to have special revelations, special blessings? And here I've laid nearly a month, and I haven't heard from heaven what's the matter. And the Spirit spoke very definitely, and He said, that's yet to come, just hold still. And I was glad that back there years ago, I learned to walk by faith and not altogether by feeling. Enjoy feeling, but not altogether by feeling. Then as time went on, they got in touch with another specialist at quite a distance. But he said, you'll have to get her to the hospital. But it seemed they couldn't get in the hospital. That's the funny part. The doctor said, I can't understand it. Why, there just seemed to be 3/4 in this private room ahead that we need for her. But the Lord knew He didn't want me there at this particular time. And it went on. I remained at home then until the 2nd of June. It just seemed that that day was Sunday. My life was just on a balance. My family lingered near, just thinking that at any moment I would slip away and be with the Lord. I lingered in this serious condition Sunday night, Monday night, until the wee hours of Tuesday morning. And all at once I felt something stealing over me. I knew the hour of death had come. And the loved ones that were around, they realized too that the parting time had come. I hardly realized I had a body anymore, but oh, the glory began to well up my soul. My soul began to get bigger and bigger as the eternal things began to loom up, and I knew I was about to take my flight. I just felt like a bird in a cage, just fluttering, wanting to be released and fly away home. Then I heard music. I heard music in the distance. It would come closer, and then it would die away. It was none other than the heavenly choir. Oh, I want to say this morning that it's wonderful, the music up there, while we enjoy this singing down here. But it's going to be wonderful to take part in that heavenly choir above. And you know, when you get up there, we'll be able to sing a song the angels can't even sing, because they don't know redemption story that mankind knows so well. And then the room began to get light. My eyes were covered. They were so weak. But it just seemed it was lit up with the glory of God. Oh, it was so bright, just beyond the noonday sun. And then I heard a voice that said, you're going home today. How that blessed my soul. Could it really be possible I could go now? And then I didn't know when. This was early in the morning. I thought perhaps I would linger on all day yet. But it wasn't long till I heard this voice again, and it said, you're going home now. And if you want to give your family goodbye, do so right away. Well, that blessed my soul. The glory had just taken somersaults about this time, I want to tell you. And I said, John is our oldest son. I didn't know who was in the room anymore. I didn't know what was going on. That part was almost gone. But John came and took my hand, and I knew each one of our family's hand clasp. And I said, John, I'm not going to the hospital. I said, I'm going home instead. I said, isn't this wonderful? This is what I've lived for all my life. And now I can leave this old body of clay and go and be forever with the Lord. And I saw John's life ahead. I warned him different places where he would be tried and tested, where he needed encouragement. And then I said, now, John, you won't let anything keep you from meeting me over there, will you? And he said, no, Mother, by the grace of God, I'll meet you in the glory land. And then I said, now kiss me on my cheek while it's warm. Tonight I'll be lying up there cold in the morgue. And when I thought of my body lying up in the morgue, it just didn't bring no terror to my heart at all. What did I care what they done to this old clay shell? I wasn't going to have any more use for it till the resurrection morning, bless God. Yes. And then I called our second son, Donald, and gave him the message, gave me goodbye, and then our oldest daughter, Mary, and then our second daughter, Eileen, and then Mary's husband, Reverend McNevin, and John's wife, Della. Gave them all goodbye, and then I left my husband to last. I said, Fred, I knew he was near me. He took my hand, and I said, we've shared our sorrows and joys together, but the parting time has come. And you know, his health had been very poorly, and he always thought he'd go first. But I said, you know, you're not going first after all. I can go first, and you will have to remain. But I said, don't feel too badly about it. It won't be long till you can come to. Just be true and faithful, and how happy we'll be up there. And then I said, now tomorrow you get ready for the funeral. You know, I always like flowers. Oh, I enjoy flowers so much. And I always said at a funeral, they're so nice. They cover up, they hide that death, you know. But when the glory world began to open up, I can't tell you how trashy the things seemed down here. And I said, just have a plain, common, cheap funeral, and just get the old sandbag buried, and don't look in the grave and think me being down there. I'm not going to be down there. I'm going to be up in heaven, rejoicing with the blood washed of all the ages, bless God. And then I had a few other things to say, and it wasn't long till I finished, and I said, I believe I've said all that I need to say. And then in a very short time, the glory began to fade, the light went out, and I went unconscious to this world. When I went unconscious to this world, I found myself in another world. And oh, I just wish I could tell you the thrill it is of going up and up and up and leaving this old world behind. They talk about their jet planes and all this, but I'm going to tell you they won't have anything over us when we start up. We'll just leave them all behind if they were after us. Bless God. And you know, I found myself going up and up, and I was just so thrilled. I knew I was going to heaven. I saw a body of light ahead, and as I drew near, it didn't take long, I saw it was a body of glory. And when I saw the glory, then I knew it was heaven. I want to say there's lots of glory up there, and if you don't enjoy the glory down here, you won't enjoy heaven very much. You better get used to the glory down here. And I was just, so thrilled, nearly there, and I wondered, oh, who will meet me at the gate? What will it be like? I could hardly wait till I reached the place. And all at once, I looked down at myself. Oh, I was so surprised. I was clad in a dark, earthly raiment. Oh, I said, I can't enter heaven like this. What'll I do? And then I looked ahead, and I said, I'm not worthy to enter there. And as I said those words, presently I found a celestial being standing right by my side. I went to look up in his face, but I couldn't look up. I was earthly. I fell at his feet. Jesus touched me. Well, first I saw the blood coming from that sacred side where he's pierced for your sins and for my sins. Seemed to flow over me afresh. And then he touched me. Oh, that touch. I thought when I was saved I had a touch, and I did. I thought when I was sanctified I had a wonderful touch, and I did, but this was different. My spirit was transformed. And I just seemed to spring up. Well, I was just up. And I said, I'm different. I'm changed. I never looked like this. Oh, I never felt like this. Oh, I said, this is wonderful. I was clothed in a beautiful white garment. And now I just knew I could enter heaven. And now I could look up in Jesus' face. He said to me, do you see what the blood done for you? And I said, yes, I never could have entered heaven if it wasn't for your precious blood. And he said, the people down there on this earth aren't making enough of the blood of Christ anymore. He said no more. He just remained at my side. I looked ahead to see where heaven was, and I saw I was standing right on the very edge of the river of death. This river of death was about 8 feet wide, and it was just a warm, rippling stream, nothing to dread. On the other side, I saw heaven was right on the other side of the river of death. At first, it just seemed a body of glory. Then it began to take form, and right near where I stood, I saw that beautiful gate of pearl. It was open about that far. Within, I seemed to see my sainted mother that had died years ago. Oh, she was so beautiful, transformed in the glories of heaven, clothed in a beautiful raiment of white, and her face just lit up with the glory of God. And then my father seemed to appear beside of mother. And I wished you could have seen the change in my father. He was an old man. When he died, he was wrinkled and feeble. But you ought to see my father up there. He's young and fair and beautiful. You know, up there, there's no old people. They just come back to the prime of life, the very best prime of life. If you're getting old today, just don't mind, because if you get to glory, you're going to find yourself young again. Bless God. All these blemishes and everything will be gone. Praise God. And then my older brother appeared, and then my older sister that had died some years before. They all appeared so beautiful and happy, and they seemed to stand there and look across and smile. And then over there I saw a child. This child was none other than my little brother that had lived and died many years before I was born. I had never even seen a picture of him, but just as soon as I saw him, I knew him. Up there, you won't need no introductions. To think when we meet in the air with the thousands from the east and the west and the north and the south, we're just going to know who everybody is. Isn't that going to be wonderful? I knew this child at once. Now I shouldn't say he, because there is neither male nor female in the glory land. They're all just as the angels which are in heaven. And this child was most beautiful, clothed in a white garment, and its hair was sort of a blonde. It looked as though every hair was almost a thread of gold. Beautiful to behold. I want to say today, if you've God has called some precious loved one, if you could see them up in the glory land and see how beautiful they are and what they're enjoying up there, oh, it'd be easy for you to give them up. You wouldn't want them back in this old world again. And then again, as I looked, I saw the throne of God. Now, people say you can't look upon God. The Scripture says, my spirit was transformed, or I never could have looked upon God. But I could see him there on the throne. I can't tell you what the throne was like. Just said it says unspeakable words, which I cannot utter. But it's grand, it's beautiful, it's glorious, and God was sitting on the throne, and he looked across and smiled at unworthy me. Oh, that smile, dear ones, don't miss it. Don't miss the glory just to see that smile. And then I saw someone coming up the throne. I wondered, I looked to see who it was, and here it was none other than Father Abraham that we read about in the Bible. But I call him Brother Abraham. He's young up there again. And you know, I loved Brother Abraham just as much as I did my own mother. There's no family ties up there. You're going to love your loved ones a lot more than you ever did here, but you're going to love everybody with that rich, pure love. And all that family, just a big family. It was so nice, you know. And then again, I saw the old patriarchs over here in a group, and I knew which each one, who they were. They seemed to be in a group talking. And in the distance, I saw millions of whitewashed saints, and clothed in white, and they seemed to be busy, active. I don't know what they were doing, but they were all active. We're not going to be just lay around in heaven. Heaven is just going to unfold, and we're just going to have something wonderful to do all the time. And then again, I want to tell you, I saw the rewards. I can't tell you what they were like. I don't know how to describe that they were wonderful to behold. The little things we do here, a smile, a handshake, just a God bless you, a kind word, that's all kept track of up there. Your reward, if you make it through, is going to be wonderful. Oh, what about the people that have given their lives for the cause of God? What will their reward be? And some people say, oh, I don't amount to anything. The devil tells them, I won't have no reward. Oh, say, that's just the devil talking, because you're going to have multiplied rewards, everybody that gets to the glory land. And then it seemed that heaven, oh yes, I saw Sister Byers over here. Now that was the mother to the young man that brought us. And she was sick for years before she died, passed away in February, and this was in June. And she had been sick for years, and she was so very thin. And oh, she suffered so for years. She died a victorious death. But I want to tell you, up there she's most beautiful to behold. Oh, her form was lovely. And she was, her face was just lit up with the glory of God. She spoke to me across the river of death. And she said, would you take a message down to earth for my husband? I said yes, but I wondered why I said that. I didn't expect to come back here again. I thought after a while Jesus would say, now you can enter heaven. But I said yes, and she sent a message down to her husband. Tell him not let anything come in his life that would keep him from meeting him up there, because she said we're expecting him up here. And now I want to say today, they're expecting you up there. Don't fail them. Jesus is expecting you. And if you have loved ones up there that have died in the Lord, they're expecting you up there. And then it seemed that heaven just vanished. Jesus was still standing by my side, and he said to me, would you be willing to go back to that earth and carry a message for me? I hadn't expected that. And then as I just hesitated for a moment, a bundle came up in front of me. You know that unknown bundle that you put on the altar when you consecrate your life to God. The unknown future, you say yes to the will of God. And here I saw in that unknown bundle, ready to go, ready to stay. Oh, yes, I said. I turned to Jesus and I said, sure I'll go. Sure I'll do anything you want me to do. I promised you that back there when I was 16 years old and I consecrated my life to God. And I said, sure I'll go if you want me to go. And he said, look down there. I looked down at the way past the clouds and the mist and the fogs between us, and down the dim distance I saw a little earth about like that. The earth we're living on today. And he said, what else do you see? I looked again, and I saw it was just alive with demons, black devils. The Bible says the devil is the prince of the power of the air, and how true that is. And if our spiritual eyes could be opened right here this morning, we'd be surprised the number of demons right in this church today. And I started a fear came over me, and I thought, how can I make it? What can I do? And he said, I'll go with you. My grace is sufficient. And he said, now, if you go down there, those devils are going to try to take away your burden and your message, and they'll even try to take the joy out of your heart so you don't get back up here again. Now he said, you watch and pray. He told me several times, watch and pray, and how needful that is. And then he said, now I'll give you this to take along with you, like a little roll out of the promise box, just a little. And as I put it in my hand, it seemed to enlarge and roll across my hand. And it said, I am the Lord that healeth thee. Now that's the first promise of healing, It was given to the children of Israel back there in Exodus. Now he said, take that with you. And he said, put it in your bosom. He said, those devils will attack you. And he said, now stand on that. And I want to tell you this morning, it works. Yes, it does. Bless God. I am the Lord that healeth thee. It works yet today. And then again, he said, now, if you will go down there, I'll give you a gift. What would you like? I couldn't think of anything down there I wanted. Well, he said, now there's a group of objects. You look down and you choose. I looked down and I saw very plainly a group of objects. The first thing I saw was a car. And it was a magnificent car. Oh, it was just the last word in the car, and we could have used it too at the time. But it was so earthly. Oh, I thought, I can't choose that. And then I saw a couple lovely homes, all just furnished the last word. They were beautiful. And I thought, well, I can't choose that. That's too earthly. And then I saw money. Oh, I saw more money than all you people put together has ever seen or ever will see. Oh, money, money, money. And, well, that seems so earthly. I couldn't choose that. And then I saw fame or honor in the church or in the world for our family. That comes pretty close to a mother's heart, you know. No, I couldn't choose that. I didn't look anymore. There were some more things. I don't know what they were. And I turned to Jesus and I said, if you don't mind it, I don't want any of that trash down there. He said, very well, what do you want? And then I knew. It just seemed, I was inspired and I knew. I said, if I'm to go down there and carry a message, I know what I must have. I said, why, I can live most any place, but I've got to have this thing. And then I saw a little hut. Oh, it was just a little hut. And he said, would you be willing to live in that? Yes, I said, if you want me to, I'll live in that. But he has to ask me to live in that, Chip. But he said, well, no, I said to him, there's the one thing I must have, and that is soul travail. I want that more than anything else if I go down there. And right there he seemed to have something in his hand, a little larger than this. He handed it to me. I received it with both hands, and it raised right up over my head. And when it got over me, it just seemed to dissolve and go all over me. And right there I received a burden for souls that I'd never had before. Oh, I thought of souls perishing in hell without God and without hope in the world. I thought of that manly son, that beautiful daughter, going to hell and burning there through all eternity. Our loved ones, what it will mean. God help us. I said, keep that vision fresh. I always want that vision. Oh, I want that soul travail kept in my heart. And then again, he said, now look down again. I looked down again on this earth and I saw our bishop. I saw his shoulders laden down with responsibilities and cares. And he said, now he may make mistakes. He's human. And he said, perhaps he's got so much on him and he may make mistakes. But he said, look at his heart. He means well. And I looked in Brother Gilmore's heart. He was our bishop at that time. And his heart was just overflowing with love. He said, you see how much he loves you, the churches now. He's doing his best now. He said, pray for him. Tell the congregations to pray for their leaders, pray for their bishop. And then again, I saw a large number of ministers. Jesus said, I want you to take a message to those ministers. Oh, again, I felt so small. Oh, how could I do it? And then I saw a couple modern churches in the background. And he said those churches, the people that worship there, they're no longer believing the blood of Christ. And he said they're playing religion and they're going to a devil's hell. But he said these ministers, they were all blood washed. There was no denomination. They were blood washed. And he said, now I want you to take a message to them. Tell them to make more of the blood of Christ. He said, it's our only hope. It's our only passport to the glory land. Tell them to preach about it and tell their congregations the value of the blood of Jesus Christ. And then he said, tell them not to compromise. We're living in a compromising age, and they're taking this out the Bible and that out the Bible. They say this don't matter, that don't matter anymore. And he said when they take the blood out of the Bible, there's nothing left. There's nothing left. They've taken it all. And he said, tell these ministers not to compromise to please the people. If they do, their people's blood will be required at their hands at the day of judgment. How responsible our ministers are. How we need to pray for them. And he said, pray for your ministers. And he said, if you pray for your leaders and help them along, he said, when the rewards are given out, you will share in their rewards. That's our privilege. And then I saw our young people. Oh, our young people. God, Jesus seemed to love the young people so much. And he said they're living in a different age than when you were young. He said they have different tests, different problems than you had when you was young. He said tell people not to scold them and criticize them. Tell people to try to understand them and pray for them. He said if you pray for your young people and they get saved and sanctified, a lot of your problems are going to be solved. And he said prayer is what they need. Not criticism, not scolding. Pray for them. And I want to say, get the young people on your heart. Pray through for them. Oh, it's hard for our young people today. They're going through something that we older ones never knew. They need our prayers very much. And then again, I saw the world in general. All the chaos and the trouble in this old world. And Jesus said it won't get any better. It's going to wax worse and worse until the end. But he said the devil is putting almost his full force on the church of the living God. He's got the bulk of the world. Oh, they belong to the devil. And we don't run after dead ducks much. The ones that are crippled is the ones we try to catch. And that's the way with the devil. He's after the live ones. He's after the church of the living God. And the thing, I saw many things that was creeping in the church and was getting the church and cooling it off today. But the greatest thing I saw was this rush age we're living in. It's just rush, rush, rush all the time. And it seems people don't have time for family altar. They don't have time for their private devotion. And little by little, if we aren't careful, the oil leaks out of our vessel. We hardly realize it. And one of these days, the Lord's going to come and we're going to be left behind. We're not going to have any oil in our vessel. And I want to say today, dear ones, watch and pray. Take time to be alone with God and to keep fired up in your soul. I wonder today, when's the last time you've heard from heaven? Do you hear from heaven occasionally? Is the current good on the line? Oh, keep it clear. He's coming soon. And then again, I saw our Boyle congregation. That's where I worship. We just have a small congregation there. And I saw, I looked down. I couldn't tell who they were, but I saw they must be all there with a number. And I saw it right in their hearts. Most of them were white, but there were some there, their hearts were black. And you say black hearts in the Holiness Church? Yes. Their hearts were black. And Jesus put out his hand. He said, this is the way it's going to be when I come. And those whose hearts were white, they all started up with one accord to meet their Lord in the air. And the ones whose hearts were black, they sat there so unconcerned they didn't even know when the rest slipped away until afterwards. All I want to say, there's going to be a separation in our holiness churches. Yes, the wheat is going to be sifted out one of these days. As I say to home, try to make your church 100%. Encourage the weak ones. Help them along, those that aren't getting along so good. You wouldn't want to leave one behind to go through the awful things that are coming upon the world when the bride of Christ is taken. Encourage the weak ones and help them to make it through. And then he said, this is your home congregation. Now he said, I want you to give your message there first. The disciples started at home at Jerusalem. That's where we're supposed to start. And he said, give your message at home first and from there on. But I didn't know at that time what the from there on meant. But I found out as I walked with the Lord. And then he said, tell them if they have loved ones or anyone they want to see saved before the rapture, to pray as they never prayed before. He said, your praying days are nearly over. Yes, there's going to be one praise day after this, but now's the time to pray. Now's the time to pray through. And I know, I feel sometimes, and perhaps you have felt, you don't feel the burden, the urge to pray as you would like. Now he said you ask for a burden. Keep on asking for a soul burden, and if he sees you mean it, he'll give you soul burden. So you can pray effectively that people will be saved. And he said when you go back, you give your message, I said that there first. And then he said, now it's time for you to go down to earth again. And I was so glad to come. Why, I thought everybody would be glad to hear this message, and everybody would, surely they'd want to come up there, this wonderful place. And Jesus looked kind of sad, and he shook his head. He said, no. He said they won't all receive it. Don't expect that. He said some will laugh, and some will even think your mind is a bit warped, he said. But he said, don't let that bother you, because their laughter will soon turn to mourning. And then it seemed that all this was just filled in. It was the past filled in. And just over here was a little place to be filled in yet before the coming of the Lord. Oh, it was such a little place. And he said, now I'll go down part the way with you. We began to waft down. And I said to him, calling a certain man by name, where was that person? I didn't see them when I was up there, and I'd always doubted whether they made it through, and I wanted to know. I asked him, and he said no, they wasn't ready for heaven. But so he said, now they're down weeping and wailing with the damned in hell. His countenance looked so sad, and he gave me a little taste of what it would be like if you would be lost. Oh, the anguish that would grip your soul. You've never known anything like it in this world. If you realized that your last chance was gone and you had missed it forever. And then he began to tell me how much he loved the saints. Oh, his countenance just lit up. And he called you his bride. And he said, now I'm soon coming for my bride. It won't be long. And when you go down there, he said, oh, tell them all. Tell everybody. Tell them to be ready. He said, I love them so much I died for them. And I want everyone to be ready when I come. He said, I don't just love the rich and the mighty. I love the very lowest and the very poorest one. He said, oh, warn them to be ready, because I'm coming soon for them. Now he said, when you get down there, you won't be able to eat for a while. But he said, you will eat again. And you know, when he was telling me this, I saw myself sitting down at the kitchen table, and I had a big plate, a big dinner plate, and it was loaded pretty good. And I was just enjoying my eats, and I knew that I'd eat again, but I didn't know when. And then he said goodbye, and he started up, and a cloud received him out of my sight. But that's the last time I'll ever say goodbye to my heavenly bridegroom. Next time when I see him, I expect to go up with him and remain with him through the countless ages of eternity. Bless God. And then I continue to descend until my feet touched the earth. The next thing I knew, I was gaining consciousness, and I was still very sick at home in bed, of course. But I do believe I could talk. And I just talked and told them where I'd been, and I had so much to tell them. And then I said, now, as I had been commanded, I guess I forgot to say that, he said, call for Bishop Lafayette Schultz, have him to pray for you and anoint you, and you will be healed when you get back. So I told my husband, you call for Bishop Schultz. And it wasn't long till he got there, and he prayed, and I could just feel that prayer just going right straight up. And that's the way it always is if you don't realize it sometimes, you know. And it just seemed so wonderful. And I said, now, Brother Schultz, when you go, before you go, read about the mansions. I said, I didn't see the mansions, and I didn't see the streets of gold. Oh, read about it before you go. So he did, and we were blessed together. And before this, for days and nights, quite some time, it seemed that they hadn't been able to put me to sleep or give me no rest. The doctor's drugs just didn't take effect. But when he started down the steps, I went to sleep. Before he got to the foot of the stairs, I was in a sound sleep. And there I just slept sweetly like a child sleeps. I slept there till 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, I woke up all of a sudden. I was wide awake. I could see. I could hear. I raised my head, and I found the pain was all gone, and I had strength. And my husband was in the room. I said, why, I feel good. I guess I'll get up. And he called our daughter from down in the kitchen. She came up quickly. She got my clothes, and I dressed, and I went to go downstairs. They went to grab my arm. I said, oh, you don't need to help me. I'm healed. And I walked downstairs unaided, washed and cold, but all this earth. We're just so earthly down here. You just don't realize how earthly we are. I was afraid to sit on a chair. It seemed so frail. I was afraid the thing would go down. They said, Mother, if you're going to stay here a while, like you say now, you'd better eat something. It had been quite a while since I'd ate anything. I said, all right. I thought that I'd kind of watch these earth people. I called them earth people for a while. And I thought I'd kind of do as they done. And I said, all right. If you say eat, I'll try to eat. And they brought something that I always enjoyed, used to. But when I tasted it, I said, no. It was perhaps 24 hours before I could even drink this earth water. It was so earthly. And for days afterwards, I used to just clear out when they would start to get a meal. I couldn't stand the smell of this earth food. It was just so earthly. And I brought a little insight along back. It seemed to fade. Within a week it was gone, but I could look right in the hearts. When I talked to people, I could see right in your heart. And I seen sin covered up in some people's lives. I was glad that thing faded. It was nothing, I guess. It wasn't good for me to have that down here. But I said right there, I never want to judge anybody. We look on the outside, don't we? But little do we know what's in people's hearts. I'm glad I'm not a judge. I'm glad the Lord is my judge today. And there's going to be people up there that we don't expect. And some that we think is going to be there isn't going to make it through. So we can't judge. We leave that for the Lord. And then this was Tuesday that I was healed. And then on Wednesday, instead of getting ready for the funeral, the people just came and we talked about the things of God, and I just warned them. It seemed I just had to talk. It was just like pressing a button and a motor starting. I just had to tell this, and I talked and warned people, warned everybody I could see. And then Thursday night was our prayer meeting, and I thought, this is going to be good, going to prayer meeting, And when I got in the car, I went pretty easy, and I said, are you sure this thing won't go down? It seemed just so earthly. I didn't know whether it hold. And they said, yes, Mother, we'll get you there all right. You just get in. So I did. And we drove up to the church, and the saints were coming, and it looked so good to me. And they said, are you going to tell it? And I said, well, I don't know. I never spoke in public, I don't seem to have much of that gift, And I said, well, I don't know. And then when we came in, they brought a rocking chair. I said I was rather weak yet, but I was well. And they brought a rocking chair and sat down there, and I sat in that rocking chair. There was a young man took the service that night, and he didn't talk very long. And I was glad he didn't, because I was getting so full. And then we have testimony meeting. I suppose you do too. And our brother over here got up then first and testified. And before he sat down, he didn't testify long. I got so full, I just held my sides like this. I just thought every minute they were just going to fly in bits if I couldn't start to talk soon. But the Lord kept the old sandbag together. And then he brought my chair up the front, and I gave my first message that night to our congregation. And the Lord met with us. We had a wonderful time. Glory fell, and we had souls at the altar that night, 6 young people. And I sat there in a rocking chair, and it was about 11 o'clock, right during the latter part of the altar service. And they said, Sister Bossert, aren't you tired? Why, no, I said. I could just feel the strength coming down. Oh, I said, I feel so fresh and so good. I'm not tired. Going home that night, you know, I said, now this is the first night my body would have been under old Mother Earth. And I said, didn't we beat the devil out? He thought he had my mouth shut. He thought we'd never praise the Lord again, but we still were at it. Bless the Lord. And I want to praise Him as long as He gives me breath. And then it went on until Saturday night. Saturday night, our company left about 11 o'clock. And I said, or it was mentioned, I'd better go to bed because I'm coming to service the next day in the morning. So I went to go upstairs, and as I went to go upstairs, I felt a presence right with me. I looked around, kept looking behind me. I didn't see anyone. Went in the room, in the bedroom, and I looked around. I just felt there was somebody in that room. And I looked under the bed and the clothes closet, and I looked around. I couldn't see anybody. So I got undressed and went to bed. My husband soon came up, and I said, lay your hand on me and ask the Lord to take care of us tonight. I didn't know why. And He did that, and he got in bed, we went to sleep, and about 1 o'clock again, I woke up with a choking and I was terribly sick. Just strangling and choking. It seems though somebody had me by the throat. And I woke my husband. I said, get the light. I said, I believe the devil is after us. And you know, when that light came on, I saw the room actually full of black devils. I saw them as plain as I see you people today. The room was just full. And outside of the walls, I saw them as thick as a swarm of bees. Just devils all over. And I said to my husband, get help. And he went to go out the door to get help. And the Lord had sent somebody there, and they were at the door to meet him. It says, before you call, I'll answer. Bless God. They came in and they prayed, but that wasn't enough. They couldn't seem to get help. There's too many devils. And then they went and got others. Others came in until, there was, 7 or 8 there. Maybe not that many. And they prayed, and I would see the devils just jump on one. And they'd get a heart attack, they'd get pain in their head, and I'd say, there, go and help that one. And they'd lay their hands on the devil and rebuke him through the power of the blood, and he'd have to leave. And then they'd be over here, trying to keep another one from praying. And they'd rebuke them through the power of the blood. And all they had as a weapon that night was the power of the blood. But I want to tell you, there's nothing in this whole world as valuable as the power of the blood. Keep under the blood. I'd be afraid to be out from under the cover of the blood. It means everything to us. We don't know what the devil would do, where he'd take us, what would happen if we get out from the sheltering blood of Christ. And then it seemed it went on. They kept praying. You should have seen the room the next morning. And then the last battle scene was fought right in there. We got light from heaven. It came in. The Lord knew we needed help. And the last battle was fought right in the room. And it was so severe that I lay as one dead. I don't know if I was dead or not, but I smelt like a corpse for days. And I had bruises on me like a 50-cent piece. Oh, the power of the devil. I want to tell you, it's real. It's real. Oh, if people would only be afraid of the devil and see him in all his power and treachery. Yeah. And then again, about 9 o'clock that morning, I rallied enough and I looked around and I said, we've gained the victory now. Don't all stay at home from church this morning. And some of you go. So they all went but our 2 daughters. And when they had gone, Mary said to me, Mother, do you want anything? And I just felt that I wanted to get up, but I was still very weak. And I said, yes, I want to get up. She threw the covers back. I found I couldn't even raise my hand. I was so weak. She said, should we take your hands and raise you up? And I said, yes. And when they took my hands and started, I just came up with a bound. And that old sickness the devil put on me, it was gone. And I out of bed and back and forth. And I said, not healed again, still healed. Bless God. You know, you never receive anything from the Lord but what the devil tries to take it away from you. Whether you're saved or a blessed experience or healing or anything, the devil tries to take it away. And he was just going to take it away. But I'm glad that Christ is a conqueror. And he defeated the devil back there, bless God. And then I lay in the bed again. The girls went downstairs, and I said, I'll rest. We'll be having company this afternoon again. And I was laying there with a glory rolling in my soul. All at once the ceiling seemed to be gone, and there hovered a beautiful white angel. Oh, I wish you could have all seen it. It was so beautiful. And I heard the words, the angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him and delivereth them, bless God. And then also the words, he will not allow you to be tempted more than you're able to bear, but will with the temptation make a way for our escape, that we may be able to bear it, bless God. And then I could just feel strength coming down, and the angel disappeared. It was gone. There was the ceiling again. Well, the glory was rolling, so I couldn't lay there any longer. I went downstairs, told the girls what I'd seen. We talked about it a while, and then Mary said, now, Mother, she said, you haven't ate anything for so long. She said, isn't there something you could think of that you could eat? Well, I just want to pause here to tell you about our cow at home. We had a cow at this time, and she was nearly dry. We were buying milk, most of our milk, and my husband said he would sell her for dry. She was dry. And that cow, without reason, began to start to give milk, and she gave milk and milk and more milk until it got a good 8 quarts of milk. And they couldn't understand why this cow was giving milk. Well, that morning, I had never drank milk, never cared for it, don't now to drink. And that morning I said to Mary, I know what I want. I want a glass of milk. And she went and got some of this cow's milk that was giving this milk. And I drank about half the glass, and I held it up, and I said, oh, I never tasted milk like that. I said, it's so good. It seems though it might have come right from the land of Canaan. It's so good. And you know that milk was just about half cream. For many things they had to put water with it. It was too rich if you just wanted milk. It was unusually rich. And then while I'm talking about the cow, I may as well finish it. This milk was so rich. And then I didn't eat a right meal or enjoy my eats, this earth food, until the second week in August. This was in the first part of June, you see, 8th of June. And the second week in August, I came back from a camp in Ohio. And that day the Lord said, now you're to eat this earth food again. And then I got an appetite for this earth food, and say I sure enjoy it ever since. And then when I began to eat this earth food, why I no longer cared for that milk. And you know, when I was away, they used to give me milk to drink, but it didn't taste the same. I didn't seem to care for it. But this milk at home was so wonderful. But when I stopped drinking this milk, the cows seemed to go down, and I didn't care for the milk anymore. And then in course of time, this cow was going to freshen again. And I said, now we're going to have some more of this rich milk. And you know, when we started to milk her again, do you know she just gave blue milk? Well, she's a Holstein. Is there any farmers here today that knows about cows? Well, she was a Holstein, and you know they give blue milk. Not real rich like Jerseys, you know. I don't want to talk about the Holsteins if there's anybody who's got Holstein, but they give blue milk. And this cow was a Holstein, and the next time she'd give this blue milk. She didn't give this rich milk. Now I say the Lord, you know, He fed Elijah with ravens, and to me that was just as wonderful that He made this dry cow give this rich milk that I was nourished. It seemed to be just what I need, and I just got fat and flourishing on this milk until I started to eat again. And then the Lord began to call me out here and there. We've been traveling a great deal, thousands of miles. We've been in well, as far down as Florida and Kansas and in the States here. Oh, we've been over here an awful lot. We feel right at home over here in the States. We've been over here so much. And I want to say to the glory of God, it's not because it was us. No, I don't say this boastingly, but with all the thousands of miles we've traveled, and this brother and sister of ours has taken us for thousands of miles, we've never had any car trouble with anybody we went with. Never had. Now, it's not because we're any different than anybody else, but you know what to do when you go on a trip? Just read the 91st Psalm and commit yourself to the Lord and keep under the blood. Keep under the blood, and the Lord will do the rest. Bless God. You know, we'll keep out an awful lot of disasters and troubles if we just keep under the blood. I don't know what's ahead of me, but I know if I take care of, if I mind the Lord, that all things are going to work together for good because I love the Lord. And today I want to say, if you belong to the Lord, hold fast that what you have. Let no man take your crown. Be sure and keep prayed up, keep fired up, because the Lord's coming soon. If you're not ready to meet the Lord, I would say get ready. Your time is short, and I come all the way back from heaven just to warn you to get ready to meet the Lord. May the Lord bless you all.